Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Tinker O'Toole again here with another video. Today we're just going to have a video for the beginners out there that if you're thinking of buying a chainsaw, hopefully I can go over the different types of chainsaw sizes that are out there, the different chains, the different bars. It can be a minefield for a beginner. And so first of all, let's start with the steel range. They start off at an MS 170, which is 30.1 cc's, and they go right up to MS 880, which is 122 cc's. Now, I do have a list, a fairly current list here, and there's 47 saws, a couple of them being battery. And that's not to mention the old saws like the old 038 or the 070. So there's all different series of different saws, and they start to change the numbers around. So quite a lot of saws. Some are for arborists, where if you're high up in a cherry picker, they're deliberately made for cutting small branches off and for holding them in a different position. So there's different saws for all different things, and obviously the big ones can be used for milling and to cut down big, huge trees, because you can get bars as long as high as what you are, or you can get them down as low as 10 inch. So the bars are all over the place, the CCs are all over the place. And the types of chain, well, you know, that's very interesting itself, because if you actually look at the types of chain sizes, you start with 1/4 inch chain, that's the smallest, and there's a pico size in that as well. There's 3/8 low profile, 0.325, 3/8 and 404, and there's even a 1/2 inch for harvester type machines. So the gauges are 043 gauge, 050 gauge, 058 and 063. And that is 1.1 millimeters, 1.3, 1.5 and 1.6 for those ones that I've just listed. So why are there so many different bars and gauges? Well, I guess, you know, during going back many, many years ago, someone decided, oh, this chain width is better than that one, and this is better for a smaller saw, it will cut better. So you started to get a mixture of all different CC saws, and as I said, from steel, there's 47 different current models at the moment, which is an incredible amount of saws. And as I said, there's 5 different chain sizes and 4 different bar gauges, ranging from 043 gauge to 063 gauge. So they're your 4 different sizes. Then the other thing is, even though I'd mentioned you got different gauge sizes, there's all different types of chains, even in the steel range, and even in the Husqvarna range, and Carlton, and all the other brands. Like even in steel, you've got RM for Rapid Micro, which is semi-chisel, RMC, Rapid Micro Comfort, RMS, Rapid Micro Special, PS, Pico Super, PM3, Pico Micro Mini, RH, Rapid Hexa, RS, Rapid Super, which is full chisel, RS3, Rapid Super Reduced Vibration. So you think, oh, which one do I go for? Okay, so I'll try and break that down. So I've told you about all the different types of chains, and then if you go, as I said, to Husqvarna and all the other brands, they'll call them X this or something else, you know, like X cut, for which is almost the same as Steel's Hexa. So really, when it's all said and done, there's only 2 types of chain that are out there, and that is this type of tooth, which is a semi-chisel. Now, a semi-chisel comes with a top plate and a side plate and a nice rounded working corner here. And this top plate angle is generally anywhere from 25 to 30 degrees, but in milling, it can be 10 degrees. So we're not going to talk about milling, we're going to talk about the standard type top plate angle on here is generally about 30 degrees. You've also got what you call top plate cutting angle. That is this beveled edge that's right on the 30-degree angle. So that's referred to the top plate cutting angle. So that's about 60 degrees. Grinding wheel comes in, or manufactured at the factory at 60-degree angle coming in. So top plate cutting angle, that one. This is the side plate generally has got a nice little C shape in it, and you'll notice that the tooth also tapers this way for clearance and also this way for clearance, and the raker gauge is generally set at about 0.65 of a millimetre below the tooth. So that's your semi-chisel. Probably 90% of people worldwide would use that one. The second tooth that most people would use after that is the full chisel chain. Now the full chisel comes to a very sharp point. Again, the top plate and the side plate 90 degrees. It doesn't have that nice rounded corner on it. It comes to a much sharper point. It's much more aggressive. It will get through the timber about 10% quicker than the semi-chisel. So that is your full chisel chain. It comes in a different couple of formats or hybrids. One of the hybrids that still have is called Hexa, and this is a hexagonal on the side plate. Husqvarna have X-Cut. You can also get a couple of hybrids in the semi-chisel where they have a 45-degree angle on it, or they call it a micro semi-chisel that the radius isn't as much. But nonetheless, you've only got two types of chain, semi-chisel and full chisel. So then, what sort of saw are you going to buy? Well, first of all, depends what you want a saw for. If you want a saw for around the backyard just to trim up some trees, MS-170, MS-180, good enough, couple of $100, got yourself a saw, not a problem. It'll do anything up to about, you'll cut a foot with it, but it'll take a little bit longer, but you can get through a foot. It's certainly not what you'd want for a firewood saw. It'd be good enough to go away camping to chop some timber. As I said, it'll take a 3/8 low profile chain, and you'll have a bar on it about no bigger than 16 inches in length, but you probably wouldn't cut any more than about 12 inches, but it will be really good to cut up to about, say, 4 inches in diameter, which would be good. So that's the smallest saw in the range, and anything as you start to go up is going to perform better. So that's a small saw, and that's good to have even if you're a firewood cutter. It's great to have a small saw like that just for the small branches before you get right into the tree. So let's just say you've got a tree, it's on the ground, you use a small saw to trim up all the small branches. So what's a good size firewood saw? Well, typically anywhere from about, say, 50 cc's right up to about 72 cc's. So, you know, I would prefer to go, it depends on your budget, obviously, but I'd probably want to go for a 72 cc saw, great firewood saw. Don't want to go too big because it starts to get a bit heavy. As we go up in size, they get very heavy. And if we go to the King, the MS-880, that is a 122 cc saw. That is to cut down big trees. It's not used for firewood or anything else like that. All these big saws are used to cut down trees. They're not used for firewood. So you can quite easily get away with, as I said, anywhere from a 50 to 70 cc or 72 cc saw for firewood. The MS500i, which is the fuel injected model, awesome amount of power. You could go 20-inch bar that it would come through. You could quite easily put a 25-inch bar on it. Now the other thing also is, when we talk about the different length bars, it depends on how powerful your chainsaw is, and sometimes there's even what they call a skip chain, and a skip chain means that they have 30% less tooth on them. So therefore, if the maximum bar that you can put on a chainsaw is 20-inch and you put a 25-inch on there, you can cheat by putting a skip chain on there, and that means it's got 30% less tooth. So it's a way of cheating. It will get through the log, but it'll get through it slower, but it won't bog down. If you put a big bar on a smaller chainsaw, it's going to really struggle to cut through it, and that's not a good idea. Last thing you want to do to any saw is load it up, and it'd be like towing a trailer with a 4-cylinder and it doesn't have enough grunt, and you're revving the guts out of it and you're changing gears constantly because it really can't pull the loaded trailer. And this is exactly the same with a chainsaw. If you put a bigger bar on that's not designed for it, it's really going to struggle unless you use a skip chain. And that means that, look, if you had a saw that came out with a 20-inch bar, I'd have a skip chain, but I wouldn't go any bigger than 25-inch because, again, you're going to be struggling. So if you were moved into an area and you're going to need wood for the winter time, I would suggest that you get two saws, either a 35cc saw, which is not a bad saw, small saw, 18-inch maximum bar on it, and get yourself a 20-inch bar on a 72cc saw, and you're going to cut through that timber quite easily. Full chisel chain will get through a lot quicker, but more susceptible to getting blunt if you hit any dirt. And that's the reason why people use semi-chisel. Personally, I use full chisel, a Hexa, and it cuts through so quick and so fast. It was developed, Hexa was developed for the forest workers out there, so that it's very, very fast. It cuts through quick and efficient. Yeah, sure, you might have to file it a little bit more, but because you've got a huge time saving, that's worth the effort. Look, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up. I hope the information is very helpful. Bye for now.